Get me excited about defensive end because right now I'm having a moment here. I've been all about Tyler Warren in the draft, but I'm having a moment here as far as defensive end is concerned. Can the Bears potentially move up to get Abdul Carter? And then beyond that, I want you to tell me about some of the other guys at the position in which the quarterback is sacked, because I still think the Bears need more. I'm sorry.
Amen.
I think they still need more.
No, I agree with you.
They need a lot more.
Mark.
Yes.
I agree with you, Mark, and I would agree with the Bears if they went offensive line at 10. If they stayed at 10 and went offensive line, I would agree with that 100%. Marshall and Layla and I talked about it all season. We'll go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that's the model right now in the National Football League. What do they have? Depth and talent in the offense and defensive line. That's what they're built on. That's what that football team, that's the identity of that football team right now. So you want to be like the champs, right? Well, to do that, you have to add more pass rushers, or you need to get stronger on the edges in your offensive line. Now, Mark, to answer your question, can they move up to get Abdul Carter? I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't.
He's being realistic. He's not saying they
Mark,
can't.
the answer is no. Probably not going to happen.
He did not say can't, but, or however.
Well, this is why, Mark. I think, one, the price to move up, you're going to have to probably get to number 2. Okay. And if you're Cleveland, now Cleveland is a team that has needs all over that roster. There's no question about that. But Abdul Carter, when you turn on the tape, this is someone you don't pass on.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, he's so explosive. And look, when I did this piece and I'm going through all the traits of the pass rushers, it's hard not to put him for everyone. Okay. That's how talented he is. Now, again, I try to be fair. I try to get a lot of names to this piece, but you could make a pass rushing profile of just Abdul Carter in terms of his flexibility, his power, his speed, his quickness off the football, his counter moves. He is absolutely disruptive. And I don't think a team like Cleveland or New York at number 3 is willing to give that up. A player the Bears could have, and this is a name that's been all over mock drafts, but Mykel Williams from Georgia.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right. Now, he fits the defensive profile of Dennis Allen. When you look at what he had in New Orleans in terms of the frame, the size, and the power of his defensive ends, Mykel Williams has those physical tools. He can rush with speed to power. And again, are there counter moves there? Are there enough there yet? No. But again, I can teach that. I cannot teach the physical profile, right? I cannot do that. I cannot, but I can teach hand usage. I can teach how to set up an offensive tackle from a defensive line coach. But the power and the speed off the ball, that's what you're looking for. And that's a player that does fit the profile of what they want at the defensive end position.
Just to give an example, as we're joined by Matt Bowen, former NFLer and now NFL writer and analyst for ESPN. We're talking about his 2025 top prospects and all the different traits from Mykel Williams that he just described. Here's the synopsis. An easy fit for the loaded defensive fronts we see in the NFL. Williams can use his long 6'5" frame to convert speed to power from edge alignments. He's a physical defender with the tools to develop into a disruptive force. One of my favorite things about the way this is laid out is because you're talking about all these different traits across a position. And we know that the Bears need a running back, right? And so I'm looking through how you're listing the running backs and kind of what you're saying these guys are best at going up and down the list of characteristics and traits. I'm curious as to what you think of those traits is the most important for the Bears to get based on who they already have in their running back room and what you think Ben Johnson wants to do with that running back position.
I think the pass catching ability has to be there. Now, you don't need to be Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield, but to be able to produce on swings and screens and underneath throws, be an outlet for quarterback Caleb Williams. I think that's a complementary piece you have to have in today's NFL. And most of these running backs do have that. The other thing is downhill decisive power. I think that's what you're looking for right now. If you're pairing a running back with DeAndre Swift, you want someone who has the north-south juice, the north-south power to move the pile, to move the sticks, and also some explosive ability when they get through the second level. Now, a name there, and look, you guys know where I went to college, but Caleb Johnson from Iowa obviously fits that profile very well. Judkins from Ohio State fits that profile very well. Now, someone like Travion Henderson, I think is going to move up in this draft class because of what he can do in pass protection and catching the football out of the backfield. That, to me, I'm not saying the Bears won't do something like that, but that, to me, isn't a great compliment to Swift, right? You want what Ben Johnson had in Detroit. You had Jahmyr Gibbs, you had David Montgomery. Different skill sets, but both fit into the offensive structure.
Matt Bowen, this is such a great compilation, especially because you give us the viewpoint of what NFL coaches see. So many times we talk about how the Bears love relative athletic score, which you're familiar with well, or we talk about traits, and you're talking about how to use them. So I want to know, out of this list of all the traits that you mentioned, and these are pretty good compliments when you consider guys' skill sets, what is your favorite trait or compliment that you gave one of these players on this list?
There's two. Okay, the first one, and they're both in the secondary. But I have Lathan Ransom, safety from Ohio State. I have him listed as the best tone setter. Okay, now what does that mean? That means someone who's an enforcer, an intimidating player when you turn on the film. And that's what you want. You want to set the identity of your defensive backfield. And you need that tone setter. You need that tone setter. Someone who will drop the hammer on contact, will basically roam the middle of the field and close the middle of the field in the short to intermediate areas, because wide receivers don't want to go in there anymore, right? I think it's important to have in your secondary as an intimidator, or always look for, even at the high school level where I coach, how urgent are you? What that means is your play speed. How quick are you to the football? How disruptive are you because of your play speed? That stands out to me on tape. When you turn on the tape of Bowman, there's something different about him, similar to like a Buda Baker, if you ever watched the Arizona Cardinals play, and how fast he is to the football. What that does, it puts you in a position to make plays, for one, but it also increases the team speed around you. Now you can have someone who can cut off the ball on the perimeter, someone who can close quickly on throws in the middle of the field. And to me, those are important traits to have.
So based on what you just said, because we know that because of the Jaquan Brisker situation and Kevin Byard not knowing how long he'll be with the Bears, he's in a contract year coming up. Who do you like for the Bears to maybe supplement, and where do you think they'll fall in this draft in terms of the guys you just named, or a guy you think the Bears should be interested in at safety?
Well, one name I'll mention, I don't know if the Bears will have an opportunity to draft him or if they will, but just, a player that I really liked when studying him on tape was Xavier Watts, the safety from Notre Dame, because he has difference in making ability, because he can make plays in the football. He had 13 interceptions over the last 2 seasons. That's a big number in college football. He's got post range. He's got split field range. And you have to have that in today's NFL. It's a passing league. You have to have someone that can take the ball away and can really close the post for you in the middle of the field. And something else I was thinking about, that I was talking about Billy Bowman Jr., and someone asked me for a comp for him. And not so much in pass coverage. I think Billy Bowman is someone that can also play in the slot. But in terms of disruptive ability, it reminds me of Mike Brown, the former Chicago Bears safety. Someone who's disruptive and takes the ball away, right? And you want that in the secondary.
Mike Brown won really just a great safety with the Bears, part of one of my favorite seasons in 2001 with the back-to-back walk-offs. Just going down the list here, Bowen, Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, Dio Odangbo, Grady Jarrett, Devin Duvernay, Olamide Zaccheaus. All right, man, this is the moment. The Bears at number 10. With all of that in mind, I don't know if I necessarily need a player from you, but like what position do you go, Matt Bowen, at number 10? And if you got a player, lay it on me.
I'll have a player for now. It'll probably change 3 times before we get to the draft. But for today, it's Kelvin Banks Jr., the left tackle from Texas.
That's what I have right now. Okay. Yes.
I think the athletic profile. I don't know if that. Marshall, I don't know if he falls. I think that's the range you should go in. I really do. I think Will Campbell's going to, first of all, I think Will Campbell's going to go higher than people expect. And look, some teams might grade him as a guard. Okay, I understand that. But just in terms of what he is as a football player, I think he goes higher than number 10. I think Banks is someone that can play at the left tackle position. He's got the athletic profile. He's got great footwork. Did not give up a lot of pressures and sacks in college, played against really good competition. That's someone you really want to develop, who has the traits and tools you want at the left tackle position. And what that tells the Bears is, it tells that current roster that's getting ready in the offseason program right now that we're going to challenge you. We are bringing in players to challenge you and to compete, to take your jobs. And that's what you want. You want the ultimate competitive environment. The veteran players have to understand that. That's part of this. And we didn't mention that at the top, but when you go through a coaching change, hey, everyone's on alert right now. Because when you go through a coaching change, you weren't good enough last year. You simply weren't good enough. And that's part of playing pro football. I went through it. And they're going to draft players at your same position.
It's scary, isn't it? Scary as hell.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily they're trying to run you out of town, but they are trying to increase that competitive profile. And everyone And that's why I was talking about the play speed during practice, why it's going to increase, because people are going to be fighting for jobs for real this year.
I also think that there was a good point made in the draft analysis discussion, which is sometimes teams don't want to see more from guys they consider slam dunks. You know, that they want to visit certain people's pro days where they may still have questions. They want to bring somebody in. Can you speak to that part of it where maybe somebody's getting a visit because they do have a little bit more they want to see?
Well, sure. I mean, that's part of the your top 30 visits is to bring them in. Also to, that's also to put that out in the media on purpose to try to move up or move down in draft positioning. I understand that. But sure, you don't get enough time at the combine. First of all, you don't get enough time to interview and sit down with these players. You don't get enough time at pro days because there's a lot going on. And I think those top 30 visits really give you an opportunity to understand the person, understand the football character, understand their competitive drive and why they play this game. And most importantly, understand if they love football or not. Because to be good in this league and to stay in this league, you have to love the game. You have to love the grind about it. You have to love the tough days. You have to love the times when you're hurt and you still have to play through an injury to get on the field on Sunday. You have to love every aspect of this game to be a great pro, and that's a big part of the interview process.
Well, as usual, you've got us fired up still, Matt. Thank you for the motivational speech. I just need something to run through. That's my only issue here. All I have is a doorway.
That works.
Yeah.
We'll find something. I'll tackle maybe a trash can. I'll figure it out.
Thanks so much, Matt.
Matt, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.